Sí, eso.
¿Hasta estos dos?
Sí.
In other parts of the valley, like in Texas, they have increased the prices. Like you have jumbo onions, you have medium size,
and smalls,
and you have small.
Well, y'all know about the onions.
You know. And then what's happening is that the small onions they were paying in some places up to $1.90 because the people were not making enough.
Well, it doesn't matter if they're small or not, if they're thick. That's something else you got to take.
But they're not thick here.
Well, I know they're not thick. Like I told them a while ago, they're not going to make $8 or $9 an hour clipping these onions. None of them are. I need these people as much as they need me. And anybody that lives in New York or the Midwest or Canada that goes in and buy produce off a shelf that was picked by hand labor needs these people.
Así es de que no hay que tenerles miedo. Yo creo que ahorita no van a sacarnos, pero...
You must be Jesus.
Yeah, I'm Jesus.
Come talk to him. He wants to file a complaint on you. Maybe you can talk him out of it.
Per hour. They're not making 5 bushels, 6 bushels
It's
an hour.
better than nothing.
They're not making $2.90 an hour. That's a violation of the federal law.
It sure is.
So why don't you tell the men to give him $2.90 an hour then?
Now is not the time. Let them work. You talk later after they get off. You're so concerned with it.
But you're telling me that I'm violating the law when he's violating the law and you don't tell him anything. Right?
He's concerned
just
with a
agree?
different time of law.
El día 4 de abril, año del 79, toda la gente decía, viva la Unión Campesina, la huelga de la cebolla, también viva Jesús Moya.
Una excusa para atacarnos a nosotros, ¿no? They had started harvesting onions for Charles Grove, and the onions were so small that it took them more than an hour to produce 1 bag of onions, and they were not making the minimum wage.
Suddenly, there was a work stoppage that was spontaneous. I mean, people just did it on their own. They decided enough was enough, so they called us at our office. It was a woman that called us, Juanita Valedez.
Juanita Valedez les dijo, muchachos no tengan miedo, nada nos puede pasar con estos empleados malditos, solo estamos defendiendo derechos del campesino.
I know that Willacy County or Raymondville will never be the same after this awakening, because I believe it is a big awakening.
It was a town that was ready to stand up for their rights.
Cuando estamos haciendo el trabajo están muy bien con nosotros, pero ya nomás pidemos aumento o alguna mejoría para nosotros y entonces ellos se olvidan de nosotros. Entonces hay cambio tanto en ellos como en nosotros, porque nosotros estamos abajo de su mando de Dios mientras de que nos están ellos usando.
Pueblito de Raymondville, tú quedarás en la historia. ¿Cómo vamos a olvidar? Esto fue en Semana Santa, cuando el chirife por miedo trajo empleados de otra parte.
Así como ustedes también lo hacen, ellos también están iguales.
Pero ¿cuánto gana él por año? ¿Cuánto gana él por año?
No sé.
A ver, pregúntale.
No, no, porque le mechea.
¿Qué crees que 20,000 o 25,000 pesos por año un solo individuo es tanto?
Ya quisieran.
Pues no estaban platicando que 27,000 o cuánto.
Pues te puedo asegurar que esas botas valen más que mis zapatos.
Ya quisiera.
Más que los míos.
25 cents a sack was paid back in the early 60s. And here we were in the late 70s, and people were still paying 25 cents a sack. And people we're not making enough money anymore.
Pero yo tengo, Juanita, 27 años de no perder una semana de trabajo.
Nosotros tampoco. Oye, ¿y nosotros?
27
Pero no duro.
Años.
Si quiera trabajo,
no,
aquí
nosotros que perdemos tanta trabajar y como quiera tenemos que comer.
Yo pisqué algodón.
Nosotros desde...
Yo sé lo que es pobre.
Pero fíjese en los años de atrás, con cuánto comíamos, ¿verdad?
¿Cierto?
¿Se acuerda? Con un dime entrábamos a las vistas.
Y damas gratis.
Por eso, y ahora que lo tenemos, que hay de dónde sacar, se aprovecha.
Y damas gratis.
Ahora ni damas altas.
My name's Oscar Correa. I'm the sheriff of Willacy County. Born and raised here in Raymondville. And I've always felt that if you want to be accepted in any society, you'd live and talk and act like that particular society. And I feel very comfortable here in Willacy County, knowing that these people have accepted me.
This house was built in 1915 for my father. His father bought this ranch in 1886 from Philip Chamberlain, who had bought it from my mother's side of the family, the Cavasses. And this is a picture of my grandfather, Edward Burleson Raymond, and his wife, Juanita. Edward Burleson Raymond was born in Austin, Texas in 1848. And when he became a young man, he borrowed a horse and came to the Rio Grande Valley. And he was involved in getting the railroad down here. And then they named Raymondville for my grandfather. But I think we've gone downhill from when I was growing up. When I grew up here in the 40s, we had so many things going. We had a very thriving vegetable business. Well, we had our own onion fiesta. People came from everywhere, and this was really the capital of the onion. We called ourselves the breath of the nation. In fact, I was one of the participants. There were 6 of us up for Onion Queen, and they called her Queen Noena. That's onion spelled backwards. And we had just a great time. The whole community worked together on this project. It was wonderful. And then, of course, we had a big onion strike. Sort of split our community in half.
Whole town united around the strike. You know, they tried to bring scabs and strike breakers from out of town. They weren't successful because, you know, those people that would come to break the strike joined the strike. The whole town was paralyzed for a couple of weeks.
I think it was a great experience for me to see, especially the role that women played in that strike. It's because I think the women had a certain role in the families. You know, they understood that it wasn't enough what they were getting, and they had it. The organizing that took place was always around families, and everyone would cook, and we'd get together and sing at night, and stay out on the picket lines all night.
When people marched through town, I think that's when it hit everybody. This is where people decided, well, if it's them, then it's us, see? So we gotta get together, man. The leaflets were flying, and we were exposing everything. And then we had supporters, people that heard in the media and that came to help us.
We're just a small group of Willacy County and Raymondville citizens. Most of us belong to a small church choir, and we've just finished practicing, and anything that happens in our county affects all of us. Most of us do well by how the farmer does or whether it rains or not, and we depend on each other.
The communities here in this county were primarily settled by farmers who came here from the Midwest. And they were brought down by land companies, and the lure was cheap land. Much of this land was covered by mesquite, and cactus was very fertile land, but it had never been farmed. And when the farmers who came here, they brought workers from Mexico to clear the land.
El trabajo se tenía que con talaches, hachas. El mejor desenraizador podía en 15 días. Y todo eso, cuando ya entregaba el terreno, ya estaba limpio completamente. Eso ya estaban listos. Cuando venía el tractor, él limpiaba, parejaba. Pero todo eso. Y lo que pagaban entonces eran $9 por acre. They make their own houses.
Out of what, Daddy?
Out of sometimes with tarps.
Okay, some of them were tents and
yeah, tents. Everybody was in tents.
And then, as time progressed, then you started making them out of grass, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't pay rent in those campitos.
No.
Oh, no.
They let you. They just wherever you wanted to, right?
Yeah,
Because
we can get the water from the ditch or anywhere they got water.
The onion strike was a very significant time in Willacy County, and I believe it was caused by labor union agitators that came here from the far San Juan area to interrupt the onion harvest here.
I accidentally was in town, and I happened to be standing there looking out when I saw these strange people coming into town. They had just gone and bought all new bandanas just to match. We later found out that they were to go on with their little bit and cause the onion strike, you know.
These were not our people attacking our people. It was somebody else, outsiders, attacking our people.
It's very obvious that the leaders of the strike, who weren't from Raymondville, they're not farm workers. They're agitators.
The growers kept saying that the reason why the workers have gone on strike, not because the workers, wanted better working conditions or better wages, but because, it was these outside agitators who coming into Raymondville to cause turmoil and agitate the people that were so happy prior to their coming to this area.
It was our time. And if the Texas farm worker came in, hey, that was even better, because these guys helped us.
Del Valle del Rio Grande, del pueblito de San Juan, se juntaron campesinos para empezar a marchar.
I was doing a lot of support work for the farm workers in Salinas at the time that I first got in touch with the Texas farm workers. This was the mid-'70s. And it became clear to me that it was a legitimate struggle of farm workers.
Gritaba uno por ahí con angustia y alegría, que vivan los campesinos, aquí va la raza mía. Que viva el chicanismo y que viva mi raza, sí señor.
What happened in Raymondville was happening in every single little town in Texas, especially South Texas. It was brown and white, very cut. I mean, it was like right in the middle. And it was always that way. It was a way of life. It was a way of life then, but we were tired of it now.
Apenas de un lado de la orilla, por favor, para que no esté.
A couple days after the strike, we learned that they were packing onions at the Wetter Grove packing shed. So we went and staged a picket line, and we started calling the workers out of the packing shed. And yeah, eventually the whole packing shed workers came out. So at this particular time, not only did we have the farm workers out of the fields, but now we had also paralyzed the packing shed with not one soul packing the onions for shipment to the market.
Whenever that vegetable is ready, then it's in its bloom. That's the best it'll ever be. And if it's not harvested then, every day that it stays in the field, it's on the downward side of the hill. So you don't have an awful long time to get them out. Whenever they're ready, you have to get them. And the labor, if you have to have the labor available at that time.
Wetter Grove started getting a lot of calls of people telling them they were willing to help, and so we just all got to talking and said we ought to meet down here and go help him.
We're going to try to put 10 cars out there and get them full All you people that want to go on that first floor, stay here, and we're going to come right back and escort you back in.
We talked to you before, Sheriff, about keeping the violence down and trying to defuse the situation. We filmed you. How do you feel about that?
I still feel the same. Still, we're going to keep down violence as much as we can. We're not going to let it get out of hand.
And what sort of tactics are you using, sir? What sort of tactics are you using, sir?
It's just be firm and try to keep cool and calm.
What if the strikers won't let you through the line?
We're going through.
I guess this was a pretty rough place to live back in the 20s. Some of the people here had a very dim view of the Texas Rangers because the Texas Rangers had a reputation of being pretty ruthless. They weren't always too careful about who they hung, and I think at the time they were active down here, this was a pretty lawless area, and they were very rough customers.
Well, this was a long time ago, and I was a very young kid then. Youngblood and Mr. Shaw were deputy sheriffs, and they were sent down there for the incident that happened at North 1st Street. They had a place where they're holding a baile up there, a big dance, and they were having a lot of trouble up there. Deputy Shaw was shot in the head, and Youngblood was shot right in the heart, and they were both killed. They arrested about 25 or 30 suspects, and they took them up to the courthouse, and they were chained to the staircase there. They decided they were going to send them to Edinburgh to put them in jail. And when they got out here by Salt Lake, they said that they tried to escape, and of course they were all killed. And they brought them on back into Raymondville on this wagon pulled by 2 mules. I was just about 9 years old then, I remember, but all the kids saw them all. They were all on this wagon in front of the courthouse there. And there wasn't hardly room on their bodies for the bullet holes that were in them. They were shot real bad.
Did you think they really tried to escape?
No, I don't think so. Nobody thought so. They were just assassinated, in my opinion. They had already decided who the killers were, but they didn't have enough evidence to even bring them to trial.
It hit us right in the face because we found out that it wasn't us in Rio Grande, that the problem was a little bigger than Rio Grande. It was the white people against the Mexicano, Chicano, Latino, how you want to call it, right? Us. It was them, and then it was us. And then they were protected by the police. Raymondville had found out that it was a bigger fight that they had, and we had to get together, and it was time that we did something.
It missed a good opportunity for somebody to be killed during that 2 weeks because there was a lot of violence here, and there were a lot of skirmishes.
As Mr. Stewart drove by that day, there was a lot of yelling and rock throwing going on. I think he might have got pelted or something, so he pulled over and stopped. And then I noticed he had a weapon in his hand. So we started running forward towards that area. And just as he reached the crowd, we reached it from the other side, and I just happened to notice a weapon coming up, so I reached in over the crowd and grabbed a hold of it. And as he did, that's when the firing pin came down on the webbing of my hand there as he pulled the trigger.
That was just kind of the attitude, the arrogance that people have. You know, you dare to strike against me, you know, I'll put out a gun, and there was no sense that any repercussions would come out of it.
He's threatening me, okay? You're a witness, man. What's wrong with you, man? Arrest you insane or something?
Put the handcuffs. Get out of the street. Everybody out of the street. Get out of the street.
You better take a knee, man.
Get out of the street.
And so we thought that after going and complaining to the police that we're going to press charges on him and arrest him.
Put him in jail!
Texas justice here. This man tries to murder us with a gun. A woman throws a rock.
We're still in the Texas
fine.
Rangers stage, huh?
You're
You can
funny,
kill Mexicans
Stuart,
anytime you feel like it, huh?
Well, you're wrong.
You think you can still shoot at Mexicans anytime you feel like it, huh, man?
The judge said yes.
I think that Wetty Grove would have dealt with us, but I think he had pressure from more ranchers, like especially Otto Brand, that was a bigger, a bigger rancher because he owned most of the valley. If Wetty Grove would pay us more, then Otto Brand had to do it too, like a domino effect. Otto Brand did not like the idea because he was going to lose a lot of money.
We usually would go to the picket line at 5, 6 o'clock. When we got there, to our surprise, there was like already many bushels of onions harvested.
When you know you own private property, this is Griffin Brand's field.
You understand this was a Wetty Grove field?
We bought it.
What do you think about this trouble that's happening?
Yes, it isn't trouble, Ron. It's 17 years of it I've had. This is my house. It's not trouble.
What do you think?
The tragedy of it is that the local people here ought to be doing the work and making the money. And they let this group intimidate them. Some of them join them. That's the tragedy of it.
Otto Brand essentially bought off the harvest of onions so Wetty Grove wouldn't settle. He was determined to break the strike.
These are the migrant onion harvest crews. You hear how they clip onions out there? You see how much work they turn out. They turn out 2 or 3 times as much work as these people because they just, this is their life. They make more money and shoot more money than nearly anybody in agriculture.
I'm looking at the whole situation there, and I'm going, why can we be stopped when there are just so few of them? Look at this. And I kept saying, it can't happen. And I knew I was risking it. I knew it. But I didn't care if they killed me. At that time, I didn't care if they killed me. I started running. I saw these people let go of their clippers. And I said, was I that effective? Running this by myself? But then I looked back. everybody had jumped.
De su sangre, ellos están sacando ganancias. Ustedes aquí como esclavos, ¿qué no les apoyan? Es todo lo que
Yo también lo tengo. Por eso ustedes tienen razón, pero yo también tengo mi razón para trabajar.
But it's under control, obviously. Sheriff!
que tiene el trabajador para demandar del ranchero un precio mejor. Levanten el fusil de la huelga, no se dejen que lo sigan explotando. Vénganse, compañeros, ustedes les ponen el valor a cada saco de cebolla. La huelga es un instrumento que tiene el trabajador.
Okay, you're all under arrest. I have a warrant for each one of you. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have a right to a lawyer and have one present at any time.
Let's be together.
Okay, you people have hurt your rights.
American brothers.
Okay, let's go. Follow me.
Just don't touch us. You don't have to touch us.
They arrested 14 of us in an effort to try to incarcerate the leaders of the strike and try to behead the organizational effort there.
For so many years, we were labeled Mexicans, and we called each other Mexicans. But then at the strike, I could hear, but we have rights, why are they treating us like this? We're not from another country, Why are they abusing us? Why are they wanting to stop us when we have the rights? This is where I think that it not only did a number to me, but it did it to every single one of us. This is where we all became Americans, We did,
Juanita Valedez les dijo, muchachos no tengan miedo, que nada los puede pasar con estos perros malditos. Solo estamos defendiendo derechos del campesino.
Through the duration of the trials, there were people picketing outside of the courthouse. People were in a hunger strike outside of the courthouse, and the whole town was in motion in support of the arrested organizers.
Ya la cárcel la llevaron.
And eventually, all of the charges were dropped. We won. It was just a tactic to break the strike, bring us into the courthouse, try to keep us in prison and bring criminal charges against us.
Charlie Wettergrove had some onions that he couldn't get out, and Otha Brand saw an opportunity to purchase some onions, and he had the people that were working. His people weren't striking, so he took that opportunity and bought the onions, and I suppose he and Charlie Wettergrove both came out ahead on the deal. The onions were going to stay in the field if he couldn't sell them, and Mr. Brand was looking for onions, so it worked good for both people.
Many people can say we didn't win. We won. We won because we realized who we were. We all grew as a town. That little town never was the same.
Que viva toda la huelga y la unión de campesinos. Que viva todas las huelgas y la unión de campesinos. ¡Que viva la huelga!
Every year, as soon as the harvest season is over in South Texas, workers start boarding out their homes, and you have this river of humanity migrating to other parts of the country. In the summer, the valley is virtually empty of migrant farm workers because there's no job, they're unemployed.
They like to do it. A lot of them, I think, consider it something they want to do. It's a vacation. They go to Idaho or they go wherever and take their family, and they enjoy doing it.
If we can organize to make a change, then it comes back to the issues. And one of the biggest issues was the school. We weren't represented in the school. Who ran the school board? The same guys that broke the onion strike. They were at the school board. They were the same faces. We have to change the government.
La primera persona que va a agradar en mi familia es Adriana. Y pues me siento bastante gozosa porque tenemos 11 hijos y de esos 11 hijos nada más ella es la primera que va a agradar.
I'm the first one to graduate from our family. Does that make you feel proud? You bet. Yeah, it makes me feel proud.
Y a mí me hubiera gustado, ¿verdad? Me hubiera sentido muy orgullosa de que los otros 4. Ahorita me siento bastante gozosa y orgullosa con ella porque a pesar de que no hemos podido darle a ella lo que se ha necesitado para que siga ella en sus estudios, ella como quiera ha podido, con sacrificios, ha podido ella llegar hasta el grado que está ahorita.
Is it hard going to school, going all the way through? It's hard. It's hard because of the rules they put in there, especially for migrants.
Suddenly we were hearing about all the injustices going on in the schools, how the farm worker children were the dropout rates were just astronomical. Even though you had almost 90% Mexican-American population, you had a teaching staff with hardly any Latino teachers, no bilingual education to speak of. The whole administration, were in this good old boy club.
How you doing? Like money? Take them to your folks to read too, okay?
Over here.
Here comes our friend Jerry Jacobs.
We were handing out leaflets to people to have them come out to a meeting to discuss some of the problems with the school. And Jerry Jacobs, who was the superintendent of the schools, came out just with guns blazing in a figurative sense.
All right. Be careful.
Where are you passing out today, Miss Silva?
That's all. Some little news here for the students and their parents. How you doing?
Here one then.
Well, you're not seeing your parent here, though? Particularly for students and parents.
I'm a parent. I got kids in this school. Let me have
What's your kid? What's your kid's name? Buenos días, señora. Aquí tenemos un welcoming committee.
Very well. Believe all this crap, huh?
Crap?
It's the truth. It's like you tell me I'm a qualified voter in Willis County. It's the truth.
That's right, I sure am, sir.
You goddamn sure not.
I sure am.
I'll tell you what.
You want to see my registration card?
I've been down there to look at it.
You've been looking for my voter registration
Damn right.
card? Well, you haven't looked very good because I am a registered voter.
In Willis County.
That's right. You're blocking traffic. One of the regulations of the school says you can't block traffic, Jerry, right?
You know all the answers, Silva.
You guys are blocking the traffic.
You know all the answers, man.
Well, I just know what's wrong. You know, I don't have to be no ignorant. I don't know all the answers.
No, you know all the answers. You know everything. Get that goddamn camera off of me, Hart.
Is this legal what he's doing?
I said, get that damn camera off of me. And boy, if I was you, I wouldn't try it another damn time.
Hey,
second. You keep that off of me. I mean every damn word I said. You're not taking my damn picture, and I don't want it taken.
You're
not taking them on me, my friend.
I guess I'm not. What I'd like to do is...
You're not taking a picture of me. Now just shut up. I don't want to listen to your crap right now. There's nothing to listen to that SOB over there.
Why am I an SOB, Mr. Jacobs? Because I want to better the schools for the Mexican kids here?
All you want the better is Marcial Silva.
I don't want nothing for myself. All I want is the end of discrimination. You're going to guarantee me that? You're going to guarantee that these students are going to get adequate bilingual education? You got 90% of your students speaking Spanish? Yes, I sure do.
You're
That's why I'm here.
against me.
How am I discriminating against you? If you were a parent,
I am a parent. I'm sure that there has been some discrimination in the Raymondville school system, but it's been not planned discrimination. I've even felt like at times that as an Anglo-American that sometimes I think I'm discriminated against because there's times when people talk in Spanish that I cannot understand what they're talking about, but most of it I don't feel like it's been intentional discrimination against myself, and I know that our teachers and our board do not intentionally discriminate against anyone.
I've seen you in action, Gilbert.
It's okay for you to discriminate, but it's not okay for me to.
That's a joke coming from you.
Hey, there's a joke.
Enough.
Okay.
Don't put it up there.
Hey, damaging private property.
We're not on
What'd you do with that sign the other
private
day?
property.
I pay as much tax as you do, I'm sure.
Sir, can I ask who you
We're
are?
not on private property.
Can I ask who
I
you
never
are?
said you was on private property.
Can I ask who you are?
I asked him what he did
Who
with a
is
sign he took off of school property the other
Who
day
are
and
you?
filmed it.
Who are you? What's
Where's
your
the
name?
sign?
Do you have a name?
No.
You don't? Why are you afraid to give your name? What you're doing is illegal. You attacking these people is illegal.
That's a little bit invasion of private property too. I am private.
Your property?
No, but I am.
Yeah, well, he's a taxpayer too. And so
Like hell, where's he from? Pays taxes where? Huh? You hit me with that damn camera? Is that what you did?
Hey, Herb. Get on that.
Go ahead.
In Raymondville, the people began to recognize that they had no political power. There was no farm workers or workers in the Board of Education. So the union started getting involved more and more into the voting registration, trying to put some farm worker in the school board, and trying to gain some of that political power.
A ver, aquí viene, a ver, ¿qué le iba a decir? Oiga,
dígame.
Venga para acá la noche. Vamos a lo que habla con usted.
¿Qué va a ver?
Que no te parezco los bigotes, chingado. Parezco los bigotes. Vale más.
Y no me lo voy a cortar, lo voy a crecer más.
One of the parents decided to run for school board. And it was, school board in a little town, pretty insignificant, really, when you look at, everything that goes on in politics. But they pulled out all the stops. They just pulled all kinds of tricks, found another Mexican-American guy that was in their pocket to run against this guy, Pete Moreno.
I leave it up to the people to vote. I mean, if they feel like they want to vote for me, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Right.
And if they don't, I ain't got nothing against them.
Right.
It's their privilege to vote.
There's no discrimination. Because I've lived here for 39 years in Raymondville. And I, for a fact, have never been discriminated or my family.
I've been on this board 9 years, been elected 3 times with an 80% Mexican-American population. If there's any discrimination, I doubt if they'd elect me on there for 9 years, 3 terms, this will be the 4th one.
Well, a lot of people criticize the system because they say it's completely no good, and they're wrong. They're wrong.
Well,
and I'm not saying that no system is perfect.
It's all right, and we get a good education out of here. A lot of people graduate. But a lot of people that are dropouts and all this, these are the people that really count. That they're Mexican Americans. Like, you don't see no white boys out there in the corner, or that didn't go to school. And I think that these people that dropped out, the problem was in the school itself. Because they didn't have no counselors to counsel them when they were young.
It was another effort to show that we could do something as a group. See? Because the numbers were bigger, we were more.
Those motherfuckers are getting the people that are coming in that way, man. We should have a couple of them. Hey, no electioneering, it says right there. Go over there, you should be there, man, so these people don't, they're confusing the hell out of them, man. But within 100 feet. Yeah. What kids do you represent? Huh?
All of them.
Not even 1% of the kids that go in these schools here are growers' kids. And you represent just people like Grove and yourself and the bankers and all that. You don't want no Mexicans that are educated. You get no cheap labor, right? Then you have to go try to bring them from Mexico, man. Then you won't have no cheap Mexicans here to work. That's all you want. You don't want no educated Mexicans. Hell.
I'll buy all that.
Okay, Alfredo Martinez, 833.
It didn't matter if Pete lost in the school race, it didn't matter either, because guess what? Just by going out and voting was another win.
See, I think it was important that so many people came out and voted. Huh? There's never been this many people vote in these kind of elections. They had to go out. Can you imagine what it must have cost them to win this election? In reality, in real terms, if we're talking about them bribing and shit, they had to buy hundreds of votes, man.
Sir?
Are you pleased by the election results?
You bet I'm pleased with the election results.
What sort of things does it reflect in the community?
It reflects communities behind the school and what we're doing. Okay, if you gentlemen raise your hands and repeat after me. I, and repeat your own name.
I, Mr. Losterman.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
to uphold the duties
of
the office of trustee of the Raymondville Independent School District.
Of the office of trustee of the Raymondville Independent School District.
Good.
Valedez gets 2 awards. He gets one for football, and he gets one for present day, everyday, old reliable.
Es de que me siento muy orgullosa porque tú siquiera ya llegaste al grado 9 y tú tenías la edad que yo tenía cuando yo me salí de 6. Yo tenía 13 años, así es que yo me siento orgullosa porque Dios quiere que pronto acabes tú la escuela y no tengas que salirte como yo me tuve que salir para trabajar. Y lo único que deseo es de que sigas adelante para que acabes tu escuela y no tengas que andar trabajando como lo hacemos nosotros y sepas defender tus derechos aquí y en todo lugar.
I wanted to continue through high school, finish school, and try to go to college, but the opportunity, it was there, right? But I just didn't go to college. Now I'm working for the Harding School District and doing great there.
What is it you're doing now?
I work for the Harding maintenance department. I deliver gas and do work on tractors. It's great.
People who brought the strike here weren't local people. They came here, stayed here until they got tired of being here and left and haven't been seen since.
And they left the community in the ashes here to suffer the consequences. And the consequences lasted a long time. People who had been friendly with each other in the past were not friendly after that. It set race relations back many years in this community, and it just caused a lot of ill will and disharmony.
¿Las expulsiones como antes?
Sí.
¿De los muchachos mexicanos?
Sí, sigue.
Entonces eso no ha terminado.
No ha terminado. Ha seguido todavía, nada más de que, como le digo, le echan la culpa a los estudiantes de que son los que hacen el problema.
There hasn't been much changes in terms of the school here in Raymondville. 12 years later, I come here and Juan Guerras organized a march to confront the school board about the same level of high dropouts of Hispanic kids, and we find out that nothing's changed.
When I was appointed as district attorney, one of the things that I realized right away that we had too many kids out on the streets, and my intention was simply to find out why these kids were out on the street. See, last year she was one of the ones that I was teaching, and the school gave me so much pressure because I was helping her, and didn't allow me to continue teaching her. So now she's back to the same thing. She's back not going to school. So the school is like, we don't want you to teach them, but we're not going to teach them either. So just don't bother them.
There's a lot of problems and the teachers don't do nothing. No, like I've been to a lot of fights and the principal or they don't do nothing.
I'm not gonna have any uneducated kids in Wellesley County while I'm district attorney. And if I have to teach them myself and set up my own school, that's what I'm gonna do, and that's what's happening here. My idea is that we start doing things that not only where you're learning, but I have ideas where you can do things where you're learning, and also that we can sell some of the stuff that we'll be doing, because we need to be self-supported. See, we don't have any monies coming in. Like that school, they have monies coming in. They got monies by the taxpayers. In high school here in Raymondville, I was told that there was no way that I would be able to make it through college, and was sent to a technical school because that's what my counselor said, that was the only thing that I could do, was fix televisions, because my English, my grammar was the pits, and that there was no way that I could progress. My father was what they call a wetbag, an illegal, and married my mom, who was born in San Antonio. But we were raised in Mexico. So that I was about 5 or 6 years old when legally were able to come into the States. From 6 years old, we were migrant workers, leave in April and come back in October. And so we did that all the way up to 1975 when I graduated from high school. I had been brainwashed that I was not college material. And so I kind of got in college by accident, and I realized that there was nothing that I couldn't handle. When I finished college, I went ahead and started teaching here in Raymondville. So after I was there for about 5 years teaching, I decided to go to law school. From the first 3 days that I was there, I knew I finally got into something that I really, really liked.
Juan was appointed to take over the DA's office, and Juan's not so hidden agenda from that point has been to be the main spokesman for anarchy, some type of social reform, which in my view means let's divide ethnically the community one more time, and he's focused his attention on the school.
But here's what I strongly detest and object to, and something none of us should be subjected to, are the lies, the slander, the libel, and generally slimy attacks on us as individuals and as a group by this rampant, abusive little DA. He also publicly refers to us as gringos, bolios, and coconuts, and other degrading racial slurs that have no place in our society, and especially from a county official. Frankly, we're all fed up with his baloney and racism. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Harrod, our superintendent, at this time.
I request that you remove Mr. Garrow from the office of county and district attorney. If you cannot or will not remove him from this office, at least take appropriate action that will cause him to function as he should and cease being an obstacle to justice and an embarrassment to this county. He is not a certified teacher, although he's been to college. He did not take the test that all the other teachers had to take. He was teaching students without any authority whatsoever.
There are a lot of students that don't behave, and that why should we educate everybody? That Guerra thinks that everybody should get educated.
Well,
they've learned to respect us in such a way where I don't want to say they're scared of us, but they respect us, you know, and because they know that we will do something about it. We're not going to allow them to come and push us around or tell us off or whatever their tactics are, you know. We won't allow them to succeed. But we're the majority. I mean, they can buy out and they can get their brown nosers, but that's not enough. We don't want to fight you, Alan. We want to get along with you people, but we want for you all to give us equal representation. We don't want to fight for it. Because we have to fight for it. We're going to fight for it, and we have the ammunition. We'll beat you.
I wish we could all work together and maybe that, but to try to get rid of Johnny Guerra, I don't think so. I don't think that's your job. I think the people of the community should do that. If they didn't want him, they would have already petitioned. We don't want Johnny Guerra, but Johnny Guerra's a voice for these people, okay?
Personally, I feel like the solution to Mr. Guetta's situation in the November elections, which will have a write-in candidate ready to go, a real attorney who has DA experience and someone who knows how to prosecute crime and just do his job.
Es porque el pueblo no tiene voz en la mesa directiva.
The day of the election, when we were getting the results, my poll watchers that I had at different places, they just told me that they were seeing the election officials writing in the name of the writing candidate themselves, and that they were just literally tampering with the ballots, that they were taking the ballots to other rooms and the poll watchers were being told to stay out.
The reason he lost the election is his own fault. He attacked all the local institutions, he attacked the local schools, he attacked the sheriff, he attacked the county clerk, he attacked the district clerk, he attacked the police chief. He alienated all the people whose support that he needed to be elected.
This is the old patron system. A lot is riding on this thing. If they reverse this thing and really expose all this the corruption in Willacy, I think Raymondville would be in a separate course and in the straight course as far as prosperity. That's it, that's the only one I know. Because of the onion strike, I felt like it sent Raymondville back 20 years. Instead of helping, I think it hurt Raymondville. Because the farmer and the rancher ended up coming out ahead saying, we don't need you guys. They kind of set a rule there saying you don't go against the patron, because what we'll do, we have to, we'll tear our crops if we have to do that. We're not going to give in. It had been rooted so far deep that even my parents felt the farmers are helping us, giving us a job. I mean, what else can we ask for? You kind of have to change their mentality that they are not doing us a favor. They're really using us. It was very hard to get that concept across. And it's even to this minute, we're still having a hard time, especially here in Willacy, while the other counties have already prospered and they got Hispanics in very powerful positions. But here you still have the same stereotype where you got the Anglo rancher, then you have the suppressed Hispanics.
Well, the main thing I see here is the vegetable industry is practically gone. I cannot afford to put my money into a crop like that and have it ready to be harvested, and then someone come up and say, well, look, we're not going to harvest it. You're out of business immediately. Everything that we do now is harvested mechanically. It costs many a job for many a person. And of course, where we're strictly farming, nothing else, we have no industry here, it makes it tough on the working type of people.
The situation with the onions, I mean, okay, so they stopped doing it. That was just to punish us, you know? And many times that we spoke together, remember, this is a tactic so that we don't see that it was good that we organized. We got to continue.
You know, we're starting to put together, just like we put that page there. That's the end product, and that's the front page. I think that the paper is kind of educating our people that they no longer have to be oppressed, because a lot of times they see it so often that they kind of start thinking that it's true what they've been reading. So we're kind of giving them what we think is, what we know is the truth to what's happening here in Willacy. In this election, what we did was a very well organized grassroots organization, because the only thing we wanted was just that person to go and vote. What I developed was a program where I began by calling it my Fortune 500 families. We knew that we had the numbers, we just needed to get those people to vote. By doing this, it was a very tedious process, but during the election, we had about 2,900 voted for me, and that was a number that had never, not that many people had ever gone out to vote. We broke the record. You're probably noticing that I haven't shaved and cut my hair for a while, and as I was explaining to you earlier, my wife, Rebecca, about 3 weeks ago, actually, Friday the 13th, December 13th of 96, was in a fatal car accident. And the Mexican custom, as a respect to whenever your mother or your wife passes away, just a custom that we carry on, that as a respect. You go without shaving. We had, planned so much after we won in November, and we were planning a real big thing for the community, and so we kind of went ahead and. When she got killed, I went ahead and canceled everything. And it's hard to put that aside. So now we have the key. Now we have the key to the courthouse, after 4 years of struggling.
So what's on the third floor?
The third floor used to be the jail. Nothing has been changed up here. We still have some cells here. Now we use it for storage. Most of the names on the walls, El Dávila, El Huerta, Felipe, El Cisco, practically all the graffiti are from Mexican Americans. I have not found one Anglo name on the walls here. So that means that the Mexican Americans were the ones that were being put mostly in jail. And then if you come over here and look at who was running the government, this is 1946. Johnson, Morrow, White, Stone, Anderson, Pierce, they're all Anglos. Yet all the names that you see on the walls over there are Mexican Americans. And I know that by 1940s or whatever, the majority of the population were Mexican Americans, but yet they were not participating in the government.
Are there gallows and do they execute people in this courthouse?
Not anymore, but apparently they did do it. I'm trying to find the trap door because they still had the trap door. I think it was around the corner over here. Let's see. So you have the trap door right here. And you can see on the top there where they would put the rope. And I think that this is the apparatus to operate the trap door here.
Now, is that legal?
The question is, when was the last time that they were still doing hangings in this particular courthouse? It's hard to say, but I understand that they were still doing hangings when it was already illegal. Now that I won the election, the articles that came out in Valley Morning, he says the downfall of Willacy begins. Your children are no longer safe here in Willacy. Guerra is now going to come in here and do this and this and that. Whatever they need to do to show me as being a radical SOB, that's not good for Willacy. Well, this building apparently was the headquarters of the organization back in the 70s. When they had the onion strike, they were using this building. Now it's just a torn, abandoned building. So we're still at it. We're still struggling for the same thing that Juanita Valedez was struggling for in the 70s, and that was just the injustice that they were doing. And I think eventually this last election was, I'm hoping that was the last blow of the establishment and that we will be able to have some sort of justice here.
I left Raymondville in 1983, but I went back, and many times that I go, get together with people, and they say, the Centro closed down, you left, and everything, stopped there. And many times I said, but it didn't stop. Nothing was lost. There was no losses. No. We woke up, and it's still going on, and it's gonna happen.
I'll tell you when. Wait. Okay, go. Pretend it's Sadie. Oh!
Whoa.
He's gonna kill it. Dale a la piñatita. Yeah, you're hitting her in the armpit. The heavy one?
Yeah, it's true. He's peeping. He's peeping. Go up. I don't think that there's anger anymore that's pushing me now.
I think it's more of my family now. It's something that I need to do because I want my son to go ahead and have the opportunities that every individual has in this community or any other community.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Agustin. Happy birthday to you.
We love you. Yay!
Yay!
Times have changed here for sure. It's a new century, and I think that we all need to let go of the past. We need to look to the future, and I think really our race relations in Raymondville right now are pretty good. I think most people get along pretty well, and I don't see a lot of examples from day to day of racial animosity here. I think we've finally gotten over the onion strike, and I think that we need to put those kind of things behind us and look to the future and let go of the past problems that we might have had here.
How you doing? How you doing?
After what I went through, most of the establishment is no longer on the boards, but we still have a lot of good Anglo people that are in real good positions. And so we're constantly working toward the betterment of the community, regardless of whether it's an Anglo or a Hispanic. We both want the same thing.
We've made great progress in the schools and in the community and so forth. I've been sheriff since 1985, so I believe the good Lord's got me here for a reason, and that's to work with the people and try to bring this community together.
We finally are in charge of our own faith here. So if there is fraud and there is corruption, then it would be because we're allowing it. And I'm not going to allow a fraud to occur like it did 10 years ago. So things have changed quite a bit.